All right, today I'm going to take a look at the energy sector, a piece I did just today for MarketBeat, taking a look at ExxonMobil, which is the largest component of the S&P energy sector. And you see here, the point of this article, the reason I did this is because ExxonMobil has outperformed the broader sector. But of course, also have to look at the fact that as the largest component, it's something like 23%. I think I put it right here. Yeah, 23.31% of the total sector weighting. You have to keep in mind that that is going to have a big influence on how the entire sector performs. We'll take a look at the XLE ETF in just a second. But the second heaviest weighting is Chevron, which constitutes 21%. So those two stocks, they're probably going to move in tandem because they have very similar business models in terms of being integrated explorer, producer, marketer. But those two are going to have a very wide influence on what's going on in the sector. All right, so here's ExxonMobil on a weekly chart. You can see the correction here. You notice it held above its 200-day moving average. Now, there's a few things going on. Obviously, concerns about an economic slowdown. And we've also seen, if you've been to the gas pump lately, you've noticed that prices are lower than they were a few months ago. So what does that do? That decreases the revenue for these big oil and gas producers. Now, of course, we look at Americans at the gas pump, but you got to remember, industrial users are also very important to the revenue of these companies. But I really just wanted to show you the technicals on here. Primarily, this held above the 200-day. Let's take a look at the entire sector here. Remember, we're looking at the large cap S&P energy sector. So as a whole, pulled back, did regain its 200-day. That's a weekly chart with some of the action just in the past several sessions. You see it's continuing to hold above that line. Let's pop over to Chevron, which is the other big oil and gas company. Kind of the same thing, right? That had a similar trajectory as the broader sector. There's also a lot of small cap energy companies. Here's one that I held in one of my portfolios for quite some time, worked really nicely in here, right? Up until pretty recently, the whole sector kind of small cap, large cap, rolled over at the same time. What this is, the ticker here is PSCE. This is an ETF that tracks the small cap S&P 600 energy index, okay? So very similar thing, kind of peaked over there on June 8th. I think the large cap actually kind of rolled over in the following session on June 9th, right? So basically we're on the same trajectory here. I'm going to go back to the PSCE and show you that. So this one kind of regained its 200-day, but then with the action on Thursday did fall below that. And small caps can be more volatile, right? Because they often have these companies have fewer shares that are publicly traded, fewer shares outstanding, lower market cap. A lot of these stocks are more thinly traded. That does add to some volatility, adds to some lower analyst coverage, lower institutional ownership. So all of that can add up to more volatility. Does the energy sector appear to be bottoming out maybe? Perhaps, but let's go over and let's look at the S&P 500 over here. You see kind of the same thing, right? Everything is up for the week. Now, the S&P 500 did post another strong gain today while the energy sector did languish. So we can clearly see that there are still some concerns there on both a large cap and small cap basis of what is happening with energy. So does that mean that's perhaps a sector to avoid if you are picking and choosing your sectors? Well, perhaps right now it is. All of these come back at some point, and I think the big danger in a market downturn is that investors kind of take their eye off the ball and forget that these will go back into rally mode eventually, and you don't want to be asleep when that happens. Okay, that's a look at the energy sector today, how it compares to the broader market. Thanks for watching. Hope you found that helpful.